The year is 603 BC, and King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon has just woken up in a cold sweat. He's had a terrifying, vivid dream, one he knows is highly significant. But as he sits in the dark, his mind goes completely blank. The details are gone. Desperate, he calls in his top advisors and gives them an impossible ultimatum. Tell him exactly what he dreamed, and then explain what it means. If they fail, they will be executed. The wisest men in Babylon panic. They admit to the king that no human alive can do this. Only a god could reveal a secret like that. When the young Hebrew captive Daniel hears about the impending execution, he steps in and asks for time to seek help from the God of heaven. That night, Daniel and his friends pray. The secret is revealed to him in a vision, giving Daniel the exact answer that will save his life and satisfy the king. Daniel describes a sequence of world powers, beginning with Nebuchadnezzar's own throne and continuing through the centuries that follow. This diagram illustrates what Daniel described to the king, a colossal, multi-tiered statue. It starts with a head of gold, drops to a silver chest, bronze thighs, iron legs, and ends with iron and clay feet. Looking at the brilliant blue and gold brickwork of the Ishtar Gate here, you get a clear sense of Babylon's staggering wealth. Daniel told the king that the statue's golden head represented Nebuchadnezzar himself and the mighty Babylonian Empire. But Babylon's reign would eventually end. Daniel outlined a clear rule, a sequence of successive conquests. A new kingdom, symbolized by the silver chest and arms, would rise up to displace the golden head. These are the standing columns of Persepolis, the heart of that second power, Medo-Persia. In 539 BC, they defeated Babylon, proving Daniel's interpretation right. Though viewed as slightly inferior in wealth, they became the dominant military force. This first transition in the image corresponds to the historical fall of the Babylonian Empire. Moving further down the statue, we hit the belly and thighs of bronze. In the shadow of the Parthenon, we recognize the next great conqueror. Under the leadership of Alexander the Great, the Greek Empire rapidly swept across the known world, completely overtaking the Medo-Persians. Then comes the Fourth Kingdom, represented by the legs of solid iron. The Colosseum stands as a heavy, imposing monument to Rome's brutal strength. Rome crushed the Greeks and subjected the surrounding nations with an unyielding iron grip. For 1,000 years, the historical pattern held firm. One massive global power absorbed and replaced the previous one, exactly as the descending metals outlined. But at the very bottom of the statue, the pattern suddenly breaks. The solid iron legs transition into feet made of a highly unstable mixture, iron and ceramic clay. This map shows what happened next. Instead of falling to a fifth massive superpower, the Roman Empire fractured. By AD 476, the territory dissolved into dozens of smaller, distinct states. Some were strong like iron, some brittle like clay. Daniel predicted these fractured pieces would try to merge, but they'd simply slip apart. Over the centuries, ambitious rulers tried to forge those fractured pieces back together through sheer, massive military force. Leaders like Charlemagne and Napoleon exhausted enormous armies attempting to recreate the total dominance of Rome. Even the most aggressive military campaigns of the 20th century failed to override this ancient boundary. Adolf Hitler plunged the globe into ruin trying to force a single unified European empire, but he too failed to hold the territory. The prophecy also noted another strategy. Daniel said the nations would attempt to unify by mingling together in marriage. Looking at this photograph of European royalty from the 19th century, you see that strategy in action. These ruling families deliberately intermarried until the leaders of Europe were a network of cousins. Yet even those close blood ties could not prevent the massive world wars that eventually tore the continent apart. The permanent division of modern Europe matches the prediction of the iron and clay. The dream ends with a violent interruption. A massive stone, cut without human hands, hurtles toward Earth and strikes the fragile feet. The entire towering structure of human history crumbles instantly. The gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay are ground into a fine dust, and the wind sweeps them away without leaving a single trace behind. Then that crushing stone begins to grow. It expands rapidly until it becomes a massive mountain that fills the entire Earth. Daniel interpreted this final symbol for the king. The stone is God's eternal kingdom. It doesn't borrow from or build upon the political systems of humanity. It arrives to permanently replace them. The sequence of the empires played out exactly as predicted, leaving us right now in the era of those fractured feet of clay. Human empires are designed to eventually blow away like dust. The question is, will you invest your future in an earthly power or the kingdom that stands forever?